Boys and girls, this is Mrs. Schickling. How are you today? We are going to be doing our math lesson today, talking about, let's pull it up here, number talks. So here's my little bulletin board I have in the classroom all about number talks. We're going to be talking about first this poster here in the middle, but I want you to notice some of these posters around. We'll be using these posters throughout the year. My solution is, this reminds me of a time I agree with Frank because, or I disagree with Frank because. So those are some example ones. One that we're really going to be using today is the strategy I used was. So let me set up my camera a little bit so it'll stand still. So we're going to be talking a lot about strategies. We're going to try to solve some math problems and try to find the solution using different strategies and share some of our strategies. Now, normally you'd all be in class with me and I'll show you a problem and then you will start thinking, using that brain, and you will come up with some different strategies. But I will share some sample ones and you can do some at home and share them with your family, your pets, your stuffed animals, and pretend like you've got your own little friends there, class, that you're sharing some of your strategies with as well. Okay. Maybe some of these we can do in a class meeting eventually too, as we learn how to run our class meetings. So what you'll need to find to practice these is you have a deck of cards inside your math toolkit. Now, when you're done with them, everything's going to always go back in this bag so that when we need supplies from this bag, they will always be in here for us. But these are the tools that I'm going to use for you today. And these cards can be used a couple different ways. One thing you could just do is go through cards and count how many dots. I'm going to teach you how eventually you might not have to count the dots. You can use some different strategies to determine how many dots are on the card. But there's dot cards. There are single hands or more than one, single hand or more than one, you'd have two, and you have to count how many fingers, okay? Cool thing with that too is instead of using the cards for that, you could practice that as well and say, okay, how many fingers do I have up? 2 and 2, that's 4. Just do one hand. 3, 5, 10. You want to see if you can say that super quick. So practicing that. So your parents could hold up their fingers. You could hold up your fingers and even try it yourself and see how many. The other part that we have that you could use just as flashcards are numbers from 1 to 20. So we want to make sure we can look at that number and know that number right away. So that's one way you can start using these cards. It's just going through them and using them as flashcards. We're going to actually use these cards to do a number talk. So I showed you the bulletin board number talks where we talk about a problem and you see if you can try to think of a way to solve it and then talk about the strategy that I used. Okay. So let me show you what you're going to do. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to show you a card or give you a problem. And I want you to use your brain to think. And this was the poster that was in the middle of that board that I said I want to talk about. So this is our thinking position. You want to have a fist. Okay. So you make a fist. Absolutely no punching with that fist. You know, that fist is just to show that you have your thinking brain ready for your math talk, okay? So I'm thinking about a solution. So you're ready for me to show you the problems at home. When I'm showing you one, I'm going to do one every day at the beginning of my math lesson. And some days we might do more than one on separate videos, but show me your thinking hand, okay? The next thing, I'm going to show the problem. And when I show the card of the problem, soon as you have an answer, or we call it a solution or an answer, put your thumb up. Now that means you also used a strategy to count that or figure that out or add it up. So you also should have a strategy. So you have the answer, but you also have a strategy of how you solved it. Your brain's still thinking. So even though I haven't started a new card, we haven't started talking about it, your brain should still be thinking of another strategy because there's lots of them. And I'm going to teach all the strategies to you this year. So it might be like this. And then you think of another strategy. So now your fingers can go like this because now instead of one, you have two. Okay. But guess what? Your brain doesn't stop thinking. If you can still think and you have time to think, and some kids stop here because they can't make it any further. But if your brain is really going on overdrive and really thinking, you might come up with 3 strategies to solve that problem. And I'll show you what I mean by strategies here in a moment. Or you may get 5. You may have to go to 2 hands. Okay. So as many times as you can think for however much wait time you have. Okay. So that's what our fingers look like. I have a solution and a strategy. I have a solution, that means the answer, plus 2 strategies, or I have the solution and 3 strategies, and so on. Now, this one down here, I'll show you what that means in a minute. Those are fun to do too. Okay, so that one means I agree. So I'll show you how that works in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to show you a card. Now, really, I should only show you the card for like 3 seconds. So when you see these cards, these are dot cards. So for dot cards, I want you to know how many are on the card. You choose what strategy you're going to use to determine how many dots are on the card. Remember, you only have about 3 seconds to look. When you're doing the flashcards, you may take longer and count them, but for this kind of a math talk, you need to try to stick to just 3 seconds and see if you can determine how many, okay? You ready? Get those thinking hands up. Got them up? Make sure you do, okay? Remember, when you have a solution and a strategy, thumb up. If you come up with 2, go like this, okay? All right, here we go. All right, 3 seconds, that was fast. Now we're starting with some easy cards today, so it'll be a little easier as we go. It'll get a little harder. So I'm hoping I'm seeing those fingers at home. And I would be asking y'all who has a solution. I'm looking at this, and who has these, who has this. Some kids may still just have been thinking it was too fast for them. So wherever you're at, that's fine. We're going to practice and try to get it so everyone can start having more fingers up and come up with solutions and strategies. So hopefully I'll see some of these, and I'll ask, and I'll say, Nicole, can you tell me what your answer is? And she'll say, I counted 3. I'm saying, okay, well, how did you? And I'll say, first, does anyone else agree? And guess what? If anyone else says they got 3, they're going to give one of these. If you disagree, you're just going to keep doing whatever you're doing. But if you agree, you can pause for a minute and do these, and you can come back, okay? Now, that's the I agree part, okay, for the solution. Now, she's going to say, the strategy I used was I counted them by ones. That's a good strategy. Okay, good job. All right, well, we don't know if it's 3 yet. Let's see if someone else has a solution and strategy. So now I'm going to call on Peter. Peter, what do you got? And he's going to be like, I got 3. And then we'll say, okay, everybody agree? What do you think? Okay, we'll talk about that 3. What strategy did you use? So he's going to say the strategy I used was I saw 2 and I counted on one more, 2, 3, and got 3. And then we'll do that with a couple kiddos in class, and then we'll check the card and see if we were right. And that was 3. Okay, so if you said 3, you were correct. Okay, so let's do another one to practice. Okay, we're going to do 2 more. So this next card, you ready? All right, I should see those fist up. Remember, thinking fist. Oh, I forgot to tell you to put it up. Thinking fist up. If you had a solution, you should be looking like this. So I see a lot of thumbs out there. What about, do I see these? All right, maybe even this. All right, so let's say, Bob, what strategy, and do you have a solution? He's going to say, my solution is 1. The answer is 1. Anyone else have one? I ask. If you do, you give us one of these. Okay. Then if he says 1, the strategy I used was I just looked at it and I knew it was 1. I only saw 1. Okay. Anyone agree? Yep. We use that strategy too. I might hear someone else say, I did that. I did that. Anyone else have another strategy? And if we're stuck, we don't have any other strategies, we just stop there. We go to our next card. Okay. All right. Thinking fist up. I told you, I forgot to tell you to do that before. Got them up? All right, next card. Y'all ready? Here we go. Okay, how many? Let's see those thumbs going up if you have an answer and a solution and a strategy used, okay? And so this time I might call on Frank. Frank, what do you got? And he's going to say, I think I counted 5. And we'll say, okay, anyone agree? If you agree, give one of these. If not, you just sit there. Frank, what strategy did you use? The strategy I used was I just counted them. I went through and counted each one. All right, good strategy. Anyone else come up with something else? And I'll call on Sarah. Sarah, what did you get? And she's going to say, I got 4. So, okay, Sarah. Anyone else agree with Sarah? If you did, give her one of these. Now, the strategy I used was I saw 3, and then I counted one more, 3, 4, and figured out it was 4. So we'll do that with a couple students. Give one of these. If we agree, then we will check the card. It was 4. What do you think? And we might talk about the mistake that we had. Someone had thought it was 5, and that's okay. It was really fast. So sometimes it's hard to count those, and we're going to practice this and get better and better at it. But you know what? We might figure out it might be hard to count them by ones as you get more dots on there. So you need a little more time to do that. So now you got to start using a different strategy in your brain to help you count them a little bit quicker. Okay, so this is called a number talk. We will be doing with all kinds of math this year. I'm going to always try to start my math lessons with 1 problem. We'll get our thinking fist up. We get a solution, 2 solutions. If we agree when we talk about it, we'll share all the different strategies we're using. You can do this at home. I forgot to include this paper. So it will be up posted in my Bitmoji Math Classroom, but I'll also send a link. So if your parents would like to print it out, or I could mail one to your parents if you'd like to have one mailed to you. So just let me know if you'd like to have a copy of this so you could practice your own math talks in your house. Okay? I hope you had fun with our math talk today. Number talk. Bye, guys.